Hey y'all, welcome to Criminally Creative, a channel about my various creative endeavors. Today is Saturday, December 20th, 2025, and this is episode 93. I'm Susan. You can find me on Ravelry as Legal Eagle and on Instagram as Criminally Creative 1. That's the Arabic numeral 1. There you go, Julie. I did it. Sorry. um, if you're new here, I appreciate you checking me out, and I hope that you like what you see. Feel free to comment and ask any questions below, or my email address is always below if you wanted to email me a question. If you are returning, as always, I appreciate you coming back. And this is primarily these days about cross stitch. This is for the new people. I'm kind of all over the place today, I guess. For new people, this is mostly about cross stitch. But I do some knitting and crochet. Actually, if you go back to the very beginning of the channel for the first 30 or so episodes, it's pretty much all knitting or crochet. So occasionally I do show you some knit or crochet projects I'm working on, but mostly what I will show you is cross stitch. So anyway, I don't know why I went rambly off on that tangent, but let's move into Hearsay. So last recorded, I think December 1st. So it is December. It's holidays, Christmas if you celebrate Christmas. Hanukkah started. Not sure what day of Hanukkah they're on. And I know there are a couple other holidays around this time of year that various people celebrate. So whatever you celebrate, or if you celebrate nothing, I hope you're having a good December. We did our decorating at work. Some years we don't do a whole lot, and other years we act like we're elementary school teachers and decorate all our doors and the walls, and this was one of those years. So I know I have a short video that a coworker took that I will probably put at the end, just so if you're not interested, you don't have to see it. I think it's not the greatest quality, and there's no like narration or anything to it. It's just kind of her walking down the hall to see. But we kind of did a reindeer / Santa's tree farm theme where everybody got a reindeer on the door, and you could personalize it if you wanted to. The video that she took was the first day we decorated, and there was just a couple of us there finishing that night. Some of the doors got decorated a little bit more after that video, but and anyway, so if you're interested, I'll throw that video in at the end of this video. That kind of killed all my decorating ambitions. I had originally planned to haul all the Christmas ornaments and stuff. We don't have an attic in our house. And so all of our Christmas is out in the shed in the yard, and I had intended to haul that all in Thanksgiving week so that I would have it in the house, could start decorating. I got lazy. I did not do that. And then of course it gets dark at like 5 o'clock. So for the week after Thanksgiving, it was dark when I got home at night. And basically, long story short, I never got around to hauling Christmas into the house. So I've done no Christmas decorating in my house. None. I did not even, shocker, I did not even put up my giant Grinch outside. It's not that I'm not in the Christmas mood. I'm just not in the decorating mood. So, really have done nothing decorating wise for Christmas. I am wearing a Christmas sweatshirt as always. I even have Carolina Christmas, says we wish you a Carolina Christmas. I've been wearing my Grinch stuff and, that sort of stuff, but I just didn't feel like putting a tree up, didn't even feel like putting the lights up. I just haven't been in that mode. So anyway, we're going to my daughter's for Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, so we won't be here for Christmas, and nobody's coming to the house, so I don't feel that bad about it. We did do luminaries in the neighborhood on Sunday, December 7th, and that's always a lot of fun. If you don't know what I'm talking about, that's the like white paper bags along the road with the candles in the sand so that you get the roads lit up. I don't think I took any pictures this year, but if I can find a picture from last year, I'll put that in here so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. That is something that my neighborhood that I grew up in, not here, but in a town about an hour and a half north of here, used to do every year on like the 23rd and 24th of December. So that's very nostalgic for me. My neighborhood now does it a lot earlier just because, so many people travel and stuff right at the holiday. but it's always a lot of fun to, it's very neighborhood. I mean, like we're all out on the street at the same time, putting our luminaries out and chit-chatting and helping each other out and all that stuff. And it's just kind of a real nice neighborhood thing. And then we get in the car and we go drive around the bigger neighborhood and look at all the luminaries. And not everybody does it. It's obviously a volunteer thing, but there's always like pockets where everybody's done it for like 10 houses in a row. And then there'll be a little pocket where nobody was on board. But it's nice. It's fun to go and look. What else? The Jingle Ball was the weekend after I last recorded. I did attend the Jingle Ball a little bit. I went in and chatted in some of the rooms a little bit. I bought a few patterns. I didn't really watch any of the content. I'm always I'm not anti-Jingle Ball in any way. It just always depends on my mood as to whether or not I want to attend those things. I think it was Friday night, I was in a chat room with several people and had a really good time. And then Saturday night, it was like I couldn't really find a chat room that I vibed with. And, you know, it's just kind of hit or miss for me. And Saturday night probably was nothing against the people in the chat room or the chat rooms themselves. It was more my vibe at the time, you know. So anyway, I'm, like I said, I'm kind of hit or miss about those. What else? I was supposed to go have lunch with Beth, the Steadfast Stitcher, on Saturday the 13th. I had to cancel that, unfortunately. My sister-in-law's mother passed away a few days before that, and the funeral was that Saturday. So I needed to spend that day with the family. And, you know, it was not completely unexpected. She was 94 years old, I think, 94, something like that. And her health had been somewhat declining, but so spent that Saturday doing that. I think that's about it for everything I've done, other than yesterday was my last day of work until January 5th. I am off work for the next 2 weeks, and I'm very excited about it. Of course, I will not get half the things done that I plan to do in my head, but that's okay. So I am looking forward to not having to work for the next 2 weeks. So let's just move on into the crafting. That's all the hearsay that I can think of. May come up with something else as I ramble on, but for now, that's all I've got. And if you're new, the reason I keep looking down is I've got notes, because otherwise I can't remember squat. So first up is verdicts, and I actually have 3 verdicts for you this time. One of them is knitting, and if you watch my last episode, you can anticipate this one. I did finish the baby blanket that I showed you last time that I was trying to get finished. So it has been gifted, so I'll put a picture in here of what that looks like. I made that out of Universal Yarn Cotton Supreme Waves in the colorway Lagoon using a US 6 4mm needle. And that is a mosaic knit pattern that is not one, it's kind of what I've cobbled together from several different patterns over the year. That's the version I like. So, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, if you go to my Ravelry page for that, you will see the notes of what I do. If I'm wrong and I don't have that on there, feel free to message me if you want to know my stitch count and that sort of stuff. And then I have 2 cross stitch verdicts. So, and these are 2 projects that I told you I was hoping to finish by the end of the year, so they may not be surprising to you. I still have them in the bags because I haven't put stuff away, so I thought I'd show you the bags. Well, not one more time, like you'll never see the bags again, but with these projects in them. This is a bag from Barefoot Needle Arts with dragonflies on it. And this is, let me get it out before I tell you what it is. So first one is, I finished Nature's Piece. Let me see if I can get this through. There we go. So I can hold it one-handed. This is Nature's Piece by Carriage House Samplings. I started this last year on September 20th on the way out to our out west trip. We went out to Glacier, Yellowstone, and Grand Teton last year. and I thought this was appropriate. Beth, the Steadfast Stitcher, and I had started this together-ish around the same time. She didn't start exactly the same date I did, but this was kind of a stitch along we did together. I did this on a 22 count Be Stitch Me in the colorway Scroll. Since you last saw it, I did another 1,031 stitches to finish it. It was a total of 5,173 stitches. It took me 16 sessions of stitching, a total of 26.2 hours to finish this. And I did it 1/1 in the called for DMC. So I'm not sure. I'm thinking, I haven't decided yet. Part of me wants to do something with this that's a memento from our trip that my husband will also be able to see. And another part of me wants to turn it into a project, the front of a project bag to hold, you know, other kind of like animal woodsy projects. So, we'll see where I end up. Of course, in my typical fashion, it's probably going to sit in a box for 5 years before I decide to do anything with it. So, the other project that I finished is in this bag by Lynn X Stitch Creates. And this is Oh Feathers. Let me put the bag behind it so you don't have to see so much. Oh Feathers by Rosewood Manor. Sorry, I haven't ironed anything. I never iron anything. I started this May 15th of 2021, and I finished this last night, December 19th. I forgot to mention on Nature's Peace, I finished that Thursday night, the 18th. I did this on 36 count antique white. Just was a white art fabric in the called for sulky thread. And since you last saw it, I did 1,068 stitches. The total stitch count was 13,383. I did 4,117 of those before I started using the tracking app that tracks my time and sessions. But of the 9,266 stitches that I did after I started using the tracking app, I did those in 27 sessions and 45.6 hours. If you're curious, I'd use X Stitch Journal by Blitz Stitch is the app that I use to track my stitching time, stitching count. It's the app that gives me the stats that I give you at the end of the month when I tell you, like, I did X number of stitches in this many hours and this many days over X many number of projects. That is the app that tracks all that for me, so I don't have to do all that math. So that is all for the verdicts. So 3 verdicts. It's been a long time since I've had that many. So we'll move on to Court and Session. I do have a couple of yarn projects I want to show you first. One's knit, one's crochet. Started to say knitting, but they weren't both knitting. The first one is, and these are both in fat squirrel bags. First one I showed you last time when I just barely started, but I've done a little bit more, so I thought I'd show you again. This is the Ripple Knitted Baby Blanket by Scottish Sampler. If I remember correctly, I believe it is a free pattern on Ravelry. I am doing this using Yarn Bee Sugar Wheel Cotton from Hobby Lobby in the colorway Sprinkles on top, and on a US 6 4mm needle. And I've started getting into a little bit of the colors. I don't know if you can see. This yarn is interesting because I was thinking that this was all one color, but it's really not. There's a subtle difference between the top half of this and the bottom half of that. And it's not coming up on camera. And you really kind of have to look to see it. And I noticed on the last one that I did out of this yarn, and the one that I did that was like blues and whites, that some of those light blues were like that, where it really was 2 different shades of light blue. So, sorry I dropped one of my bags. And the second project is in the unicorn bag. Now, this unicorn bag was previously holding another project I've shown you. So, I got before I show you what this is, I got to tell you a short little cute story. So, Thanksgiving, we went to my in-laws, and my daughter and her family came. And, oops, sorry for sprinkling paper. I'm trying to straighten that out. And my granddaughter, my daughter has 2 children. My grandson is 8. My granddaughter's 5. My 5-year-old granddaughter came in and pretty quickly announced that I needed to make her a blanket. And it needed to have unicorns and flowers and sparkle. And my daughter informed me that she told her she could make her a blanket, but she said, no, Lulu had to make it. My grandma name, if you're new here, was originally Susu, which my son, who has two children as well that are older than my daughters, that's what they call me, Susu. I was actually in my 40s when I became a grandmother, and I decided I was too young to be called what my family's always said, mama or mama, and I decided I wasn't quite ready to be a mama or a mama. And so I came up with Susu, and my 2 older grandchildren call me Susu, but my daughter's oldest could not do the S's when he was younger, and so for him, I became Lulu, and of course, his younger sister also calls me Lulu. So Lulu or Susu, either one. So anyway, back to the story. So she informed my daughter that no, she couldn't make it. Lulu had to make it. So, of course, I informed her she was not getting it for Christmas because this was Thanksgiving and that was not going to happen. But her birthday is in June, so I told her I would try to get one made before June. So I came home and I started searching patterns on Ravelry because I'm not enough of a sewist to try to sew a quilt. I mean, I could have gone and found unicorn fabric and fleece and done like one of the Tide blankets, but I can knit or crochet a blanket by June, hopefully. So I found several unicorn blanket patterns on Ravelry and sent pictures to my daughter, who showed them to my granddaughter, who approved this one. And this is the Unicorn Fantasy Blanket by Melinda Miller. It is a crocheted pattern. It's that unicorn part, at least, is all individual squares and stuff. And I am actually doing a little bit different colors. I'll put a picture up here of one that's been done of this that's more in the color scheme that I'm using. Mine's still going to be slightly different, but with the pink background and everything. So I have, I ordered a bunch of, I think our last video I mentioned I ordered a bunch of yarn from Webb's on their Thanksgiving Black Friday sale, and that arrived. So I'm doing this all in Cascade 220 Superwash Merino. I'll put a picture here of all the colors I ordered laid out on my desk. And I'm doing it on a 5mm H hook. And I have started making squares. So the pattern does give you, like, you need 36 squares of the background, and you need this and this and that. So I've started making squares. I started with the background because that's what I need the most of. So I've made 6 squares. My squares are coming out a little bit smaller than they're supposed to gauge-wise. But I figure it doesn't really matter. So it's not intended to be she's going to use it as a cuddle up under blanket and that sort of stuff. So it doesn't have to be a certain size or anything. So anyway, so I have started that. I will probably not show you that regularly until it gets where there's more to see. But I wanted to give you the info on that getting started. So, anyway, so that is all for the knitting. We will move into the cross stitch. First up, let me fill you in on the end of Gridiron Grind. Gridiron Grind is over for me because I was doing college football, the UNC Tar Heels, who did not have the greatest season, and their season is over. They did not qualify for a bowl bid. So when I last recorded, all of the games had been played, but the last game had just been played like 2 days before, and I had not stitched for it yet. So I have done the stitching for that. This is in another bag by Lennox Stitch Creates. This is the project that I was doing for the Tar Heels scores, and all I did was I was doing 10 stitches for every point they scored. This is Schoolhouse Rock, which was a stitch along back in 2023 by the Black Needle Society. I started it as a stitch along, but I knew I would not keep up with it. I am doing this on a 36 count Be Stitch Me in the colorway Ocean Blue. Here's where it is. I think last time I showed you I had gotten 2 bills, so I did a little bit more, started the building up there. The score of the Carolina State game was 19-42. So this was needed 190 stitches. I actually did 220. I'm currently at 9,245 of 16,284, which is 56.8%. For Gridiron Grind, I have done a total of 2,787 stitches on this project. And I forgot to say, if you're new here, as I talk, what I do is I put up a picture of the project as it will look when I finished. And then for my whips, if it is not a new start, when I'm showing you the project, I will show you what it looked like the last time you saw it. Sorry, my needle is wanting to slide out of this fabric, so I'm trying to get it secured. Yes, I leave a needle in my fabric of my whips. I've never had a problem with it. I leave it out of the area of the stitch, and, you know, it is what it is. I don't know if I said I started that September 3rd of 2023. And then I was also doing a project for the opponents, just one project for all opponents through the season. This is in a bag by somebody I can never remember. This is Scary Sampler by Heartstring Samplery. I started this September 1st of 2023. And I am doing this on Be Stitch Me, 40 count Be Stitch Me in the colorway Mocha. Sorry, trying to get it to where you can see it all. And I needed 420 stitches for the last game. I did 445. And I think I did them all in the house, if I remember correctly. Mostly down that side wall, and I think some more brick outline. I'm currently at 3,868 of 26,794. 14.4%. And for Gridiron Grind, I did a total of 3,234 stitches in this. So when I started Gridiron Grind, this had only really had like its first 500 stitches from when I started it back in 2013. So this got a good bit of progress with Gridiron Grind. Okay, so that's Gridiron Grind for the year. Then temperature stitching. So you saw the two cross-stitch projects I just showed you that were finished were 2 of my temperature stitching projects. I've currently only been doing a rotation of 3 projects for temperature stitching. So I only have 1 more to show you. I think temperature stitching, I'm fickle about temperature stitching. And so I think I'm going to do a plans video in a few days, but temperature stitching is going to come and go for me, probably throughout the year in 2026. This is the project though that I was doing for, this was the one that I was kind of my witch whip, where I had spun the wheel of projects that, I had not worked on in 2025 and got 2, and then had my friend Peggy pick, and she picked this one. This is Stitchy Witchy Bell Pull by Stitchy Pros. I started this October 31st of 2024. I'm doing this on 40 count Barefoot Needle Arts Black Pearl, and I have modified the colors somewhat. I'm using Classic Colorworks in the Naughty Night, which is a really deep purple. For the dark, where that's called for 310, and I'm using Classic Colorworks Rainy Day for the actual purple. I don't remember what the called for was. So since you last saw it, I've done 606 stitches. I'm currently at 1,495 of 8,242. And that's currently 18.1%. This is owed 400 stitches for this week's temperature stitching, which I have not yet done. That will get it to the 1,000 stitch minimum goal that I had set for this category of piece in my temperature stitching. And so I think this will again go away for a while till I feel like doing temperature stitching again. I'm still kind of formulating the details of my plans, like patterns assigned to things for 2026. So, um, I think, like I said, I think temperature stitching will come and go as I want to focus on stuff a little bit more, but then I'll peter out on it. Okay, now we're just into like the regular stitching I've done. First up is in this blue Q bag. This is what I keep, excuse me, my current Mill Hill projects in. This is Bewitching Pumpkin, which is a Mill Hill kit. I had not worked on this in forever. I started this back in June of 2025. Typically, Mill Hill projects I work on and finish not, relatively quickly, within a month or two, as I feel like working on them, but I just haven't worked on this in forever. So I did, actually, the last day I recorded, while my video was, I don't remember whether I was processing while I was editing or whatever. I wanted to stitch on a little something, and this was easy, so that's when I worked on it. I just did another 115 stitches on this. I think mostly that, like, bright orangey red is, I think, largely what I did. Maybe some of that hot pink. I'm not really sure. I'll hold it there and put a picture next to it, and you'll see what the difference is. This is something I might try to pull out in the next couple weeks and finish before the end of the year, just because it seems silly to me that one is still hanging on since June. I don't have an actual stitch count for that, because that's just, I do it on paper and I highlight, and I don't even say the patterns. Okay, WIPCO this month had 3 calls, and because I do use the free space. Excuse me. I told you last time that one of them, Winter Lake, I probably was not even going to try to do. So I've only done one. The other call is a unicorn, a peacock, a unicorn, a badger, and I may or may not get to that this month. I've kind of decided I'm okay if I don't, but I did want to work on this one. This is Dark Tower. This is a pattern by Licka Cross Stitch, LKA. I'm not even sure. I don't think their site is there anymore, so I'm not even sure you can get this pattern anymore. I started this February 26th of 2023. All of my WIPCO was full coverage this year. And this needed 1,500 stitches. I did 1,511. Mainly, I filled out some of the gold, yellow area, and then I filled in some more of that black of Roland. I have done a total of 5,722 of 49,590 stitches on this. And it is currently at 11.5%. So this is not a huge full coverage. It's like, long and short. My husband really likes that one because we both like the Gunslinger books. Anyway, so that's the only WIPCO I've done. And then I have a wheel of all my Christmas projects, and I have a wheel of everything I haven't yet touched in 2025. And basically, I spun my Christmas wheel until I came up on projects that I hadn't touched in 2025. So the first one that I worked on is in this bag, which is Lynn X Stitch Creates. Did I show you? I don't know if I showed you the last bag. It was also Lynn X Stitch Creates. This is Kringles by Little House Needleworks. I started this May 21st of 2022. I am doing this on the called for 30 count Legacy, I don't know if it's Legacy Fiber Arts. It's not Legacy Fiber Arts, it's a yarn. Legacy Fabrics in Persian Gray. And I did 597 stitches, pretty much all white. Well, not all white. I think I did do I think I did do a little bit. I said mostly white. That is the top. That is the far edge of the white of the roof line. Obviously, it's going to angle down and out, so it's going to be a little wider. But that's the far edge of that white. I wanted to get across that. And I think I did a little bit more in here, but I'm not sure about that. So I did 597 stitches. I'm currently at 4,100 of 29,209, which is 14%. And then I spun the Christmas wheel again until I came up with another one I hadn't touched in 2025. This is in a bag by Jasmine's Custom Bags. This is the only one of hers I've ever snagged. This is Woodland Santas by Prairie Schooler. And I'm doing them all four on one piece of fabric, but they'll be separated enough that they'll be cut apart. I saw the one time I went to StitchCon, Keepsakes had these done, and they had them like framed in like a window frame, you know, with the 4 glass panels. And I want to do something similar to that. So I am working on the one, I've put up a picture of all 4 of them. If I can do it, I'll put up a picture of the single one that I'm currently working on, which is the first one that I've started. This actually goes relatively fast when I work on it, so I probably need to put a little bit more time into it. I started this December 7th of 2023. I'm doing it on 32 count Zweigart Platinum. And this time I did a little bit more of that tree, but most of what I did was his coat. So, I did 652 stitches. I'm currently at 1,749 of 5,045 for this particular one of the 4. So that's 34.6% of this one. I don't actually have an overall stitch count for all 4 of them together because I have this in markup, but I've really only cleaned up and set it up appropriately for this first one, because it's scanned, and the way that this is printed in Prairie Schooler, it has a lot of background noise, so to speak, on the scan, so markup thinks a lot of the squares have symbols that don't, so I have to go in and clean a lot of that up, and I've only done that on this first one so far. So it's currently right now telling me it has a lot more stitches for the 4 of them than I know that it does. So okay, now we're to the new starts portion of the program. This is in a bag made by my friend Ann, ENRN, on Instagram. And she had a floss tube. She hasn't recorded it in a long time. Ann Craft All the Things. I don't know if she's planning to record again ever, but she makes nice bags. So this is a project that my friend Peggy and I have started together. And it will take a long time for all of it to be done. This is Santa's Sleigh by Nora Corbett from the Christmas Couriers series. So we started with Santa's Sleigh, and you know, the goal is eventually we will have it all. This is a giant piece of fabric. I have another giant piece in there. We are doing this. Peggy found this fabric for us, Millennial Fabrics, and she kindly dyed us both a whole yard, so we would have enough to do all of them on the same fabric. And this is 32 count Lugana from Millennial Fabrics in the colorway Harmony. And this is Santa's Sleigh, which I started December 5th of 2025. I'm doing it 2 over 2, you know, I've done 1,020 stitches of 11,892. And so that is 8.6%. My strategy so far at least has been, there's a lot of white, and I try to do my lighter colored stitches first, just so you don't get, like if you're stitching with white next to red, you don't pull up red with the white. So I've started with the white and kind of do white, and then I'll go fill in the colors. So that's why there's so much more white over here. So I think I told you that's 8.6%. So the goal will be to try to work on these consistently enough that it's not 5 years before I finish one, since there are also 9 reindeer. Next up is in this bag by Stitch and Button. I started this December 14th, 2025, which was Beth the Steadfast Stitcher's birthday. This was my start for her hashtag Book Lovers birthday sale. This is Crow Librarian by Fine Frog Stitching. I'm doing this on 16 count Picture This Plus Echo is the color. And I've done 678 stitches. That book is finished except for 4 blue stitches that go in there, except they are 1 stitch of 4 different colors, which is use more over here. So I'm waiting until I get over here and then I'll do those 4 little stitches in there. So like I said, this is 678 stitches out of a total of 4,791. So I've done 14.2% of this. This was one that when it came out, I just really, really liked. So okay, 2 more new starts. I've been in kind of a Christmas mode. So next up is in this bag from Nancy the Disorderly Stitcher. She has an Etsy shop. This is also stashing for retirement, but I had to put it into use. And what's in it is also stashing for retirement, but I wanted to start it. So this is Holly Wreath by Hello from Liz Matthews and Kathy Barrick. It's one of the patterns, one of the patterns that they did together. If you don't know, Kathy Barrick is Liz Matthews' mother. I started this on December 15th, 2025. Make sure I got it right side up. This is one of the projects that I got from Pam in her Kit of Projects sale, which I'll tell you more about in Stashing for Retirement. And so this is on 32 count R&R Cream Brulee. I am doing this in the called for MPI, except that I have subbed 448 and 503 instead of 866 and 208. Which are the reds. The reds that it calls for are more rusty red. I'll show you in a second. Let me just tell you what I've done here. I've done 1,082 stitches out of 10,871. So I'm right at 10%. These are the 2 reds that I'm using. These are the 2 reds that are called for, which are much more kind of orangey rusty. I know that these are probably more accurate to a real cardinal. I live in North Carolina. Cardinal is our state bird. I see cardinals all the time. But because of the holly and the wreath and the Christmassy nature of this, I really wanted a red cardinal, which I did not think to tell Pam, but Pam apparently knows me well enough to know that was a possibility. So she sent me the 2 extra reds in case I wanted a red cardinal. And I did. Okay. And then one more new start, which I started last night after I finished O Feathers. I wanted to stitch a little more, and I couldn't settle on anything, and I finally decided, you know what, I'm just going to start this. So this is in another bag from Nancy, the Disorderly Stitcher, that is also stashing for retirement. It's got snowflakes inside that one. I didn't look to see what the other one had, sorry. And this is still in the Q-Snap, because I will do some more on this sometime tonight. This is Christmas Dinner by Cross My Heart. Or it's charted by Cross My Heart, or printed by I should look and see who the artist is, because I know I saw this first with Carolyn Seazook Stitches doing this, and she's doing it, I think, from a magazine. So it may be designed by somebody else, and Cross My Heart has reprinted it. I'll have to check on that. Cross My Heart is the copy I have that I found on the aftermarket. I'm doing this on a 32 count white Lugana. I started this last night, December 19th. I've done, so I do have this in markup. All this light up here is half stitches. So I've done 503 of 26,134, but that is counting half stitches as whole stitches. I haven't worried about it yet because I'm not using this for any kind of Facebook game or anything right now where half stitches, it takes 2 to count as a whole stitch. So probably what I will do as far as tracking of this is count the half stitches as whole stitches as far as my personal tracking. But, if it's being used for a Facebook game, then I'll, do the math and figure that out accurately for the reporting on that game. So that is all of the stitching on the docket. The one thing I do want to get to this month, it's a regular thing, is I want to do my 2,200 stitches on Let Freedom Ring. So since I didn't really touch that in, was it October? I didn't touch that. I'm going to have to recalculate first of the month exactly how many stitches I need to do a month. I'm debating whether or not I want to turn that into a weekly goal. We'll see. So I do want to do that. I might do a peacock unicorn badger, which is my other week whip go that should get 1,800 stitches. I probably will pull that out and do at least 500 on it. I'm just not sure that I will do the full 1,800 on it. And that's mainly just because I'm having fun kind of just doing whatever I want right now. And I got fluff flying, sorry. I do definitely need to finish the back stitching on Kingdom of Books. I have done a little bit more back stitching. I'm not showing you right now just because, until I get the whole thing done, you don't get the full effect. But I have done a little bit more of that, but I do need to concentrate on that the next 2 weeks while I am off work. I've got to start doing a little bit of that a day so it's done before the end of the year. I want to finish that Bewitching Pumpkin, the Mill Hill kit, because it's so small. Excuse me. And like I said, there's no reason that one of those should be lingering for 6 months. And I'd like to do at least a couple more, work a little bit on a couple more of the ones I haven't touched at all in 2025, just to go into the new year with fewer that I didn't touch at all this year. Other than that, I need to clean this craft room. That's my other goal for the next 2 weeks, is to put stuff away and, clean up and not completely reorganize, because if I say that, that means to me in my head, that's hauling everything out and re-putting it back in. But I do want to move a few little things around and put some stuff away and try to maybe come up with some new ways to do things. For those of y'all who have a decent fancy floss stash and use floss drops, or like I leave my fancy floss on the cards it comes on, like Classic Colorworks and all that on the card. And then I just put that on a floss ring when I'm using it. How do you store that? Right now I have it in the top drawer of that file cabinet back there on, I cut off the bottoms of hanging files, and punched holes, and I've got them on rings in there. The bottom drawer of that file cabinet is all my patterns, and it's getting jam-packed full. I'd like to make both drawers of that for my patterns so that I could spread them out a little bit more, not cram them in so much. But I can't figure out what to do with my fancy floss. I have a good system for my DMC because I keep that in skeins. What I really would like is some of the drawer cases like Laura Stitching by the Shore has. I don't have any room to put those somewhere. I don't have a good place in here without getting rid of something, and I haven't figured out what that is yet to create a stack of those for all my DMC. And if I had enough room, I would do, some of those for the fancy floss too. But I've seen people hang them on the back of the doors, but I feel like that's, right now I've got them in alphabetical order by color name. And so I just like pull up the first hanging file that has, A, B, C, D, E, F, G on there. And because for the most part, I'm usually looking for a particular floss. If I'm looking color-wise, I'll just pull up the thing and kind of flip through and see if I see that color, and, something similar color anywhere. So anyway, I'm looking for a way to store my fancy floss that is compact and or utilizes unused space. I could do something on the back of the door. I just feel like I don't know if it's, I mean, how many racks would I need? And then I feel like it's sitting out getting dusty. So I don't know. Anyway, if anybody has any brilliant suggestions for how they store their fancy floss, please let me know. That don't involve an additional piece of furniture, because that's what I don't have room for. Anyway, okay, let's move on. Calendar. The only thing in the next month or so, Beth and I rescheduled our lunch for January 2nd. So we're going to celebrate her birthday then. And now we're also going to be celebrating the fact that she's semi-retiring the end of this year. So I'll be going up to Greensboro to have lunch with her and hang out for a bit. We might visit Stitch Point. We'll see. And then I am going to be at Stitch and Thrift Retreat January 16th, 17th in Lexington, South Carolina. So that's the next upcoming kind of retreat type thing I'm going to. So let's move on to stashing for retirement. So, like I said, I did attend Jingle Ball. We'll do the electronic stuff first, and then I'll get the physical stuff and show it to you. I did attend Jingle Ball, and I did buy 4 new patterns. So I will put pictures of those up here as I talk. First one I got is the one that I saw the preview for that I knew I was going to have, and that is Oh Holy Night by Annie B's Folk Art. That is a giant house, but, I have a lot of big-ass projects already, so what's another one? I've looked at it trying to figure out if I could shorten the house and, get rid of an element on the side, but I don't know that I want to, so I don't know when I'll start it, but I had to have it. So I got that. I got Santa and You, EWE, the sheet like a sheep, from Primrose Cottage, just because I thought that one was cute. I bought Christmas Magic from Tiny Modernist, which was, I think, their Jingle Bell exclusive last year, and I did not get it last year, and I've seen a lot of people stitch it and really liked it, so I bought it this year. I did not get their this year exclusive because, again, it didn't really call to me, and I think maybe it was because of the fabric, and I'm kind of wishing I had, because I think if it was on a different color background, I might like it more. So I guess I'll probably wait and see some people stitch on it this year and see what it looks like. And then I did finally cave, and I got Midnight Santa Stocking by Teresa Kogut. Now, I doubt that I'm going to do this as a stocking. I'm thinking that I'm going to do this as a long, tall, skinny, straight, and shift that house and everything over under the Santa and just kind of fill in that corner of the house that's angled off. It's not there because of the stocking. We'll see. I don't know. I don't know when I'm going to start it or anything, but I just decided I needed to have that. I also got the I think it was Lappin' Loops. I also got a piece of the fabric, which I'll show you when I show you the physical stuff, because it's over there still. I haven't brought it over here yet. Then I bought, and I may butcher this name because I don't speak French, Léa Letournée from Reflet de Soie. Put a picture up here. You've seen this, I'm sure, everywhere. Nancy, the Swordly Stitcher, I think, has started it. As a matter of fact, it's the Zoom group with Nancy that finally convinced me to start it, particularly because they were talking about it one night, and then I went and realized I could get it as a PDF, and that was the part that tipped me over the edge, was the fact that I could purchase it as a PDF from Reflet de Soie. So I have purchased that. I have kitted that. I just haven't started it yet. I'm not generally a sampler person, but for some reason that one I just really liked it. I got my 2025 winter edition of Just Cross Stitch magazine. I'll put the cover picture up here. Several people have done flip throughs. Beth, the Steadfast Stitcher, did one. I think Laura Stitching by the Shore did a flip through. So if you're interested in what's in that, I don't generally do flip throughs. So, and then just yesterday, I think it was yesterday or the day before, Somebody posted that Nara X Stitch was having like a 7-hour sale. Nara X Stitch is the designer of the like Autumn Town pattern that I've started with the balloon. And so I went over there and I bought 3 more patterns from her. So I got, and she doesn't really do like real names of her patterns. So this is kind of what I'm calling. This is like the first couple of words of the pattern description. I got Halloween Candy Shop, which was just a real cute, you know, blacks and purples and oranges. And then I got Christmas Village. And I got Christmas Castle. So, I don't have any immediate plans to start any of those, but, I just, you know, they were on sale for like 55, 60% off. I don't know. They were like $4 or $5 a piece. So anyway, so I bought them. Anyway, let me, pause you for just a second and go get my physical stuff and I'll be right back. Well, I meant to hit pause and hit end, so we'll just have to splice them together. Don't have a ton time, but we'll see. So I did, like I said, I bought a piece of the Jingle Ball exclusive fabric, which is called Jingle All the Way from Lap and Loops. I got just a 20 count Ada. Really pretty green. That's probably a pretty good picture what color was. So that was nice. Succumbed to a Bee Stitch Me Friday night fight night and got several pieces. So I received that. This is an 18 count Ada in the colorway Cobbler. I'm just going to partially open these. Really pretty deep fuchsia purpley pink. 22 count Heart Anger in Pumpkin Pie. Got a 32 count Lugana in Sorbet. So that's yellows and pinks and peaches. I got a 32 count Linen in Pumpkin Pie. It's just a really good Halloween one. And then I got a 32 count Linen in Cranberry Bliss. Is that what? No, okay. Which is that, I think that would be really pretty for like a Christmas piece with like a, I don't know that I'd want to do it in white, but something very light on that. Okay, so the rest of this is from Stitch New England. So, but 2 orders. So one, they do right before Thanksgiving every year. I think it's like the weekend before Thanksgiving. Somewhere around that time. She does a sale for kitted projects. So like if you kit a project, pattern, fabric, and floss, she gives you like 20% off. And so what I do, she's kind enough to do this for me. I send her a list of patterns. I think I send like 8 to 10 and tell her to pick 2. And, you know, I send her basic criteria like any fabric count, anything from this to this. I'm willing to pay for silks, whatever. And so she picks 2 and she kits them up for me. And I don't know what I'm getting until they get here. So this year was Holly Wreath, which I showed you I've already started. So, you know, she picked the fabric, she kitted up in the MPI floss, and like I said, because I know Pam, she sent me the 2 red MPI substitutes in case I wanted a red instead of a kind of a rusty cardinal. And then the other one that she kit up for me is Sweet Moon by Teresa Kogut. I think this is a relatively new release. And she kitted this up in 16 count Ada Atomic Ranch Christmas Night with all of the called for DMC except, or all of the called for except there was one DMC that she was out of, so she gave me a similar fancy floss. So I have not started that one yet. So that one, and then during the like 12 days, first 12 days of Christmas, she does like a 12 days of Christmas where each day she has like a different type of thing on sale or something. And when you can purchase, you have to buy each day that it's on sale, but you can click pick up in store, and she'll wait until the 12 days is over and then ship it to you. And if you buy $50 or more total, shipping is free. So I did that, and bought a couple things, couple of days. I got one piece of fabric, Fiberlicious Yummy Fibers in Plum Hollowed in 32 count linen. So another one that would be really pretty for like a, this is like a, it's showing up very red. It has a little more purplish to it, but it's very much of a kind of a cranberry purpley red. That would also be a pretty Christmas, something Christmassy. Sorry, trying to get that folded back up. And then a few patterns. Ghosting to Town by Hello from Liz Matthews. This came out, I think, last year or early, 2024, and I just never got it. Thought it was cute. I got the 2 newest Fragments in Time from Stonehouse Stitchworks. Christmas edition, Blizzard, number 7. And Mary the Mischievous was number 8. And then this one was actually not on sale, but I went ahead and ordered it. The new Plum Street, A Merry Gentleman. So that is it for Stashing for Retirement. And I think that's about it. My husband just got home. I am planning to do a plans video, probably either Monday or Tuesday, so that it will be out before Christmas. If I can get my crap together, I may also include in that kind of a, make that also, besides my plans for 2026, kind of show you how I keep track of stuff, like in my planner and electronically and everything. But that's only if I can get some things prepped for my planner for next year. I might have to do that separately. We'll see. And then I am planning to do a whip parade probably the 1st of January. I was going to say, or the 2nd, except the 2nd I'm going to hang out with Beth. So if it's not the 1st, it'll probably be the 3rd. It'll be one of those first couple of days of January. I'll do a whip parade. And probably sometime somewhere around there, we'll also do another shorter regular episode to at least show you what I had stitched on. I don't know. I'm always kind of torn about how to do that, whether to just tell you during the whip parade what I did since you last saw it, or to do that as a separate video in case you don't watch the whip parade, because I'm currently at 110 whips, so my whip parade's going to be kind of long. Anyway, so that's about it. Like I said earlier, if you don't watch my plans video, I will go ahead and tell you to have a Merry Christmas or a Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate. And if you don't celebrate anything, just enjoy some time with your family, because hopefully you have some time off anyway. And I will see you when I see you. So, bye, y'all.